The president is known to be an adventure fiend and true blue foodie, and he took time out with the First Lady in tow to sample the culinary offerings of the Khmer Republic and found how similar in taste and preparation it shares with Philippine cuisine. But first, the president touched on mutual concerns he and his counterparts shared on the search for peace and settling conflict in the Ukraine and resolving disputes in the West Philippine Sea, as we hear more from PTV's Meg Luna.
After a series of meetings in the 40th and the 41st ASEAN Summit in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., who attended the ASEAN Summit for the first time, disclosed some of the concerns he and ASEAN members spoke about.
There are very many similar problems, of course, and we talk always about recovering from the pandemic economy. We talked about preparing for the next pandemic. Naka-agree kami na ito yung mga talagang problema. Ito yung mga dapat unahin natin.
Despite having different opinions on Myanmar, all the ASEAN leaders unified in the one advocacy for peace and cooperation to settle the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, the Taiwan Straits crisis, and Myanmar civil war. All members agreed to implement a 5-point consensus, which is essential in ending disputes.
May mga bansa, sabi nila basta tanggalin na natin ang Myanmar sa ASEAN. Sinabi ko, kausapin natin lahat. Kausapin mo pati yung nasa position, pati yung nasa nakaupo, pati yung kahit naman sino na interesado, dapat kausapin natin o pag-usapin natin.
The president also believes the position of the Philippines in pushing forward the Code of Conduct and Peace in the West Philippine Sea has become clearer.
On South China Sea, everybody, including the Chinese, says we follow UNCLOS and the international law. So, at least that position of ASEAN is clear. We all just restated over and over again, kailangan na magkaroon ng Code of Conduct. Ulit-ulit na sinabi ko, it is urgent. It is becoming more and more urgent. And we really should, the negotiations and the finalization of the Code of Conduct.
Despite his hectic schedule of various summits and bilateral meetings, President Marcos said his attendance in the summit was well worth it, which gave him the opportunity to personally talk with different world leaders. President Marcos had a one-on-one encounter with U.S. President Joe Biden, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, and was able to join Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in another summit meeting.
It was very useful. It was absolutely critical that I had come. And I'm happy that I did. Well, you know, because what happens, you're sitting there for what, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is. But you know, it has to be done. It's okay. I mean, nobody died from honest hard work.
The president also took the opportunity to taste Cambodian food for lunch. Well, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos took some photos of the menu, which will serve as reference for future huge events and gatherings in the Philippines. Mrs. Araneta Marcos was able to be with First Ladies of the ASEAN in a souvenir shop in Siem Reap, Cambodia.
Meron silang puro kakanin, pero iba yung mga meron silang curry na may mani. Doon yata galing yung kari-kari. Oh, pero ganun. Naiba, it's not kari-kari. It's this, yung ganun. It's similar to kari-kari, but it's different. Yeah. I like it. I'm afraid medyo, I'm an enthusiastic experimenter when it comes to food. So yeah.
President Marcos is expected to attend the ASEAN conference in Belgium next month and scheduled for a working trip to China in January next year. But when asked about his presence in the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, the president answered,
"So I haven't decided yet. I'm traveling too much."
Meg Luna for The Nation.